Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot we have Baal. Baal is ranked as the first of the Ars Goetia, which I obviously had to look up because I had no idea what that was. If you're like me and aren't exactly up to date on your demonology, as explained by the demonicparadisefandom.com, quote, the Ars Goetia, also known as the 72 Pillars, is a group comprised of 72 demons with exemplary strength and their own legions. They are listed in the grimoire Lesser Key of Solomon. Okay, cool, that was easy to understand. So, Baal is the first on that, and he is the principal king of hell. It is said that he governs somewhere from 66 to 250 legions of demons and spirits, so he's clearly a workaholic. In grimoire tradition, it is said that Baal appears in the form of a man, a cat, a toad, or different combinations of those with the appearance of a king or a soldier, but with the heads of these creatures, and on a set of spider legs. So, I'm just saying, the guy's not easy to miss. I feel like that's pretty clear exactly who that is. In our number 9 spot today we have Amon. Amon is the Great Marquis of Hell, and he is the 7th of the demons of the Ars Goetia, which thankfully we now know all about. It is said that he is in charge of governing 40 different legions of demons, but his favorite thing to do with humans is making them fall in love with each other. He is also known to settle debates, and you might be sitting there thinking that this guy actually sounds pretty cool and nice, but despite these cool nice things he enjoys, he is anything but nice. Just like he can make people fall in love, he can do the exact opposite as well. He can cause people to turn against each other and can even will someone to harm the innocent, which is terrifying. To make that thought slightly less horrifying, it is said he doesn't usually do this for no reason, and usually only does this when attacked or if someone is standing in his way of completing a mission. Still not good, but I suppose that's better than just random acts of violence. It is said that Amon appears as a wolf with a snake's tail and that he possesses the ability to breathe fire. Or he will appear as a man with dog teeth who is inside of a raven. I don't know, ask him about that one, not me. In our number 8 spot today we have Asmodeus. Asmodeus is the king of demons and earthly spirits and is often referred to as one of the 7 princes of hell. He also represents one of the 7 deadly sins, lust. Before becoming a demon in his former life, he was an angel who was known as Asmodel, the angel of April and patience who rules the zodiac sign Taurus. But of course we are here to talk about his demon form, which is said to appear as either a ruthless, brutal monster or as a kind of mischievous demon that is playful and quick thinking. Honestly, I'm not sure which form would be worse to encounter. The monster would be scary, but a little annoying demon would be so frustrating. For the most terrifying exit I've ever heard of, it is said that Asmodeus will cut himself into pieces and immediately after disappear. In our number 7 spot today we have Leviathan. Leviathan isn't fully a demon, but he is even a step above as he is a primordial beast of darkness and chaos, and he is one of the 7 princes of hell, as well as its gatekeeper. He also represents one of the deadly sins, envy. The entrance to hell is actually said to be Leviathan's mouth, known as the Hellmouth. The exact origins of Leviathan aren't exactly clear, but in the end it is agreed that he fell from God's grace and became the beast of the chaotic oceans that cannot be tamed by man or beast. So Leviathan is the beast of the oceans, Behemoth is the beast of the earth, and Ziz is the beast of the air. After the war in heaven, these 3 beasts all turned on each other and then threw all of what they govern and those who live in it into absolute madness. This forced God to step in and separate these 3 beasts so that they didn't completely destroy the earth. It is said that if anyone tries to escape the inferno of hell, Leviathan will devour them and suck them inside of his stomach. Here they will remain forever to be burned in the flames of the body. In our number 6 spot today we have Mammon. Mammon is another one of those fallen angels turned demon and is often associated with the sin of greed. Because of this, Mammon is the noble demon lord of cupidity, richness, abundance, prosperity, wealth, and injustice. It is said that even during his time in heaven, he spent more time looking at the golden roads rather than God himself because he was already obsessed with gold and riches. Actually, it is reported that his obsession with the gold was so serious that his fall from heaven wasn't really because he was passionate about Lucifer's rebellion, he was just too focused on wealth, and this was enough for him to be cast out by Archangel Gabriel. It is said that Mammon is the creator of alchemy, and he is the one who bestowed the knowledge to humans of what alchemical compounds are needed to make gold. It is said that because he gave this top secret information out, it led to the creation of these sort of humanoid creatures that possess great power and strength, which indirectly makes him the creator of these creatures. In our number 5 spot today we have Azazel. Azazel is one of the chief governors of the Grigori, which is a group of fallen angels who married female mortals, which then produced the Nephilim, which were these scary giant creatures that ate mortals. In the beginning, Azazel started as an eater of sins, but the more sins he consumed, the hungrier he became, and this led to him not being satiated by the sins he was receiving. The reason he was cast from heaven is because he taught men how to make swords, knives, shields, and breastplates, which then led to humans being corrupted and thinking that they were invisible. It is said that the humans went so far that they were planning to raid heaven, and this is when God told Raphael to bind Azazel's hands and feet, open up a hole in the desert, and toss him in, casting him into darkness. This worked, and for a long time Azazel remained in prison. It was so bad that the jagged rocks near him tore his physical body away, and this left him as a mass of darkness covered in mouths and eyes. Later freed by Lucifer, he went on to join the demons in hell. In our number 4 spot today we have Beelzebub. Beelzebub is a former seraph who turned into a high-ranking demon. He is one of the princes of hell and also oversees the Order of the Fly. He, Satan, and Lucifer form the triarchy of hell, which makes him one of the supreme monarchs of the underworld. As a seraphim, he was under the archangel Gabriel, but he was one of the very first angels to fall. He is often confused with Satan, and while the two names can technically be interchanged, they are two separate entities, and in some writings they even disagree at times. Beelzebub is associated with pride and gluttony, and he has also been held responsible for demonic possessions throughout the years. Unfortunately, flies are a very important thing for him, as it is said that he can take the form of them. Now his main job is to rule over the fallen angels as well as all of the demons that are originally from hell. In our number 3 spot today we have Paimon. Paimon is the 9th pillar of the Ars Goetia, and he is a king of hell that is most obedient to Lucifer. He is normally depicted as a strong man with a face that has softer features. He wears a crown, and he is seen riding a dromedary, which is a type of one-humped camel, usually trained for riding or races. Before him there is often a whole group of demons and ghouls who are in the shape of mortal men, playing instruments like trumpets and cymbals, which is of course meant to give Paimon a grand entrance to wherever he is on the way to. He is manipulative, malicious, and honestly pretty hostile. He inflicts psychological, physical, and spiritual torment, and will even go as far as to recreate traumatic events or just give terrifying visions and nightmares. His voice is so loud and roaring that whoever invokes him has to command him to alter his speech, or else he'll continue speaking at an ear-splitting volume, and he won't be able to be heard or understood. If he's not causing you torment, it is said that he can tell you all of the mysteries of the earth though. I'm still not convinced it's worth the risk, however. In our number 2 spot today we have Belial. Belial is the 68th spirit in the Goetia, and he is one of the crowned princes of hell, but he is also known as Hell's brightest fire, Evil's match, and the king of evil, so I think it's safe to say that he's pretty terrifying. He is mighty and powerful, and this is likely due to the fact that he was created right after Lucifer, which is of course part of the reason why Belial belongs to his order. Belial was once an angel, but after his fall from grace he became a demon of lies and guilt, and he possesses the ability to induce any type of sin, but his favorite is the sin of lust. Belial is so evil that it's said he started a civil war in hell. While still an angel just before his fall, in the War of Heaven, Belial slayed numerous angels, and as a demon, just in general, he would slay huge demonic armies that attempted to make any moves against him or any of the other 7 great kings. In our number 1 spot today we have Belphegor. Belphegor is a fallen angel, and after his fall from heaven, he has now become the demon lord presiding over the sin of Sloth. It is said that as Belphegor served as a lieutenant from hell, he was sent to Earth on a mission by Satan. While he was on Earth, he grew quite fond of Paris, France, and it is said that because of this affinity, he now lurks deep within the catacombs under the city. Belphegor can be invoked by mortals who are wishing to find fame and wealth, usually through as little effort as possible. But these wishes are of course doomed to fail because of the demon's true mission to lure the dreamers into sloth. Through the failure of whatever was provided to the dreamer by Belphegor, he then draws them into procrastination and idle dreaming rather than active production, which then condemns them to a life of failure. Belphegor is also recognized as one of the 7 great kings who rule over hell.
Starting off this countdown, we have Nazu. Sometimes otherwise known as Druge, is the demon of death and decay. She takes the form of a fly and has a field day when someone dies. Right after death, after the soul has left the corpse, Nazu infests the body. The body instantly becomes contaminated and will start to decay. And if someone comes in contact with that corpse as it's decaying, Nazu will attack and infect them as well. So it's believed that no one should ever carry a corpse on their own, for if they do, Nazu will, and I quote, emerge from the nose, the eye, the tongue, the sexual organs, and the hinder parts of the deceased, and she will rush upon the corpse barrier and stain him, even to the end of the nails. And then that person is infected by her, and they need to be separated from everyone else and live the rest of their life in isolation. Nazu has also been known to attack dogs. Like hell no, stay away from my furry friends. Anyways, this is one nasty demon you never want to come in contact with. In our 9th spot today we have Lamia, and if you guys are liking this video so far, then smash that like button for me. Lamia is an extremely violent, ancient, and powerful demon. In Greek mythology, she was the queen of Libya and was known for murdering every little innocent kid she could get her hands on. It all started when she had an affair with Zeus. When Zeus's wife Hera found out about this, she forced Lamia to eat her own offspring from her affair with Zeus. Disgusting. But due to this, she had permanent insomnia, so Zeus was all like, I can help you, and then literally removed her eyes. It's so messed up. She then went on to eat hundreds of others. This demon was also featured in the movie Drag Me to Hell. In the movie, it hunts down souls and takes them to hell. You know, drags them down, just as the title suggests. This demon is summoned by a curse that, when activated, will torture its victims for 3 days before it opens a portal to hell and drags them down. This demon also has the ability to alter reality, and it fills its victim's head with gruesome illusions. It can not only possess humans, but also animals. Literally, imagine trying to sleep. She would make you experience the worst of the worst dreams. And then eventually you'd just be driven to madness. Moving on to number 8, we have Amon. This guy is pretty terrifying. He commands 40 legions of evil spirits, basically to do the dirty work for him. In the Lesser Keys of Solomon, he is referred to as great in power and most strong. I think the visual description of him though makes him even more terrifying. He is just all over the place. He is said to have the shape of a wolf, but with a serpent's tail and a mouth that vomits fire. Not only that though, he can also turn into an old man. But not just any old man, no. An old man with a crow head and dog teeth. Like what the actual hell? Who the heck designed this dude? It's like it was done by an 8-year-old kid that combined all of his favorite animals together or something. In our 7th spot we have the Night Demon. The Night Demon, or Popo Bawa, is known to haunt the Tanzanian people of Pemba in the Indian Ocean. And apparently it's a shapeshifter. It can turn into a bat, other times it can look quite human, or it can just turn into different animals. This demon is said to visit homes at night and attack anyone in the household. It would go house to house attacking families all throughout the night. In fact, a number of real-life attacks happened and they were blamed on this demon. As a result, men were staying awake to defend their house, even camping outside their house in groups. Others smeared themselves with pig's oil, thinking this would prevent the demon from attacking them. In 1997, apparently a farmer named Majaka Hamid, who didn't believe in this demon, actually got attacked by it. He was outside and said he couldn't see it, but he felt it. All of a sudden he felt this terrible pain in his ribs, as if someone was squeezing him and attempting to crush him to death. He believes that this was the demon attacking him. In our 6th spot we have Pazuzu. Good old Pazuzu. He's the main antagonist of the Exorcist franchise. He is a demon based on the mythological figure in ancient Mesopotamian religion. In Mesopotamian religion, it is said to be the king of demons of the wind and is the bearer of storms and drought. He is often depicted as a creature with the body of a man, head of a lion, and tail of a scorpion. He is also shown with talons and wings, completely different from how he's depicted in the film. Now, Pazuzu in the Exorcist films ended up possessing individuals and makes them very violent. I'm sorry, did you see how Regan turned out in the Exorcist movie? She looked horrifying and gross. This dude is nasty and evil. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Zozo, who in fact might be a real demon. Users of Ouija boards would know this demon is someone you need to be scared of and need to look out for. So on March 24th, 2009, the presence of Zozo first came to light when a man named Darren Evans shared his interactions with Zozo online. He was playing with a board when he contacted a spirit who called itself Zozo. At first, according to Evans' account, the interactions with him were seemingly harmless. He experienced noises, moving objects, and flickering lights. He thought nothing of it. Then he started getting scratches and bruises on his skin. During one session with Zozo, Evans had to rush into the bathroom where his girlfriend was giving their daughter a bath. His girlfriend was gone, the tub was overflowing, and his daughter was drowning. He believes that Zozo was behind this. Now you see, tons of other people have then come forward and claimed that they have also come in contact with a spirit that calls itself Zozo. It is said to target mentally unstable and vulnerable users. Zozo has even been linked to a number of murders and people that have taken their own lives. In fact, this entity dates back to 1816. It is mentioned in the book Dictionnaire Infernal by Colin de Plancy. This book tells the story of a young girl who gets possessed by 3 demons: Minnie, Capulet, and Zozo. It's said that if Zozo reveals itself while you're using an Ouija board, then you gotta end the session immediately before you become its next victim. So can we all agree that this demon is horrifying and should never be messed with? Moving on, at number 4 we have Incubus. The Incubus is a male demon that preys on young women in their sleep. He visits them in their dreams and tries to engage in sexual activities with them. One of his goals is to impregnate the women, who then will give birth to its demon baby. There have been a number of real stories of women being visited by this demon in their sleep. They have woken up in the middle of the night and have felt the incubus demon holding them down. Others have seen a blurry silhouette of this demon on them while feeling it caress their body. But no matter what you do, you can't move, you can't get it off of you, you're just stuck there. In fact, sleep paralysis is widely considered to be the work of the incubus and succubus demons. In our 3rd spot we have the succubus demon. So I talked about incubus, it's time to talk about the female counterpart, succubus. Succubus dates back to medieval times. It's a demon that can transform themselves into attractive females to seduce men and engage in sexual activity with them. Then it's said that they can eat a man's soul, or if the men are repeatedly visited by her in their dreams, then she can cause death. Again, just like the incubus demon, a lot of people have said that they have been visited by a succubus demon in their dreams. They're unable to move, but feel this demon on their body, taking advantage of them. In our 2nd spot we have Mara. In Old Norse, Mara is a demon that would sneak into people's rooms at night and sit down on their bodies. By doing so, it would plague their mind with bad dreams. Mara was also sometimes referred to as Mora or mares, which comes from the word nightmares. Whoever got visited by this demon would wake up unable to move with that heavy feeling in their chest from Mara resting on them, which is why she's often associated with sleep paralysis as well. It was also believed that witches could send Mara to anyone they wanted to torment. According to one story, a Norwegian king was sent one night and the demon crushed his legs and then proceeded to press down on his head and kill him. Yikes. Typically, Mara is depicted as being tall and very skinny. Like, you can see her bones through her skin. She's got massive long arms that she can use to hold you down, and she's got nasty little raggedy hair. I never knew this, but apparently there's a 2008 movie called Mara, and it's all about this sleep demon, and now I kinda wanna watch it. And In our number 1 spot today we have Beelzebub. Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me. I swear I always think of Bohemian Rhapsody when I hear this demon's name, so is it just me? Let me know in the comments below. It's probably just me. Okay, so Beelzebub's name literally translates to Lord of the Flies. As a result, he is often depicted as an evil fly or as a man with wings. In Christian texts, the name Beelzebub is often associated with the devil himself. They would alternate between using this name and Satan. He is considered one of the 7 princes of hell, and he is associated with the sin gluttony. Now, Beelzebub actually had a huge influence on the Salem witch trials, which is what he's probably most famous for. He was blamed for possessing the souls of those who were accused of being witches. He's also said to be responsible for several demonic possessions. The most famous case being Annalise Michel, a devout Catholic woman who is said to have been possessed by 5 different demons. As a result, she underwent 67 exorcisms to try and get Beelzebub and the other demons out of her body. This demon also possessed a woman named Nicole Aubry. She was possessed by 30 spirits from 1565 to 1566. When a priest cast Beelzebub out of her body, a cloud of black smoke came out of her. And lastly, we have Father Louis Godfredi. He was also possessed by this demon and ended up getting burned at the stake in 1611. When he was set on fire, a swarm of flies flew out of his body. Yeah, no thanks, that's horrifying.
First up in our number 10 spot, text messages. According to a Catholic priest named Stephen Rossetti, demons are managing to figure out how to adapt to our new technologies at an incredible rate. In the olden days, sure, you inhabit a body, scream, convulse, terrorize, I mean that was pretty much what the job entailed, but as the world changes, so do the demons and how they torture us. We might be familiar with entities flickering lights, but according to Rossetti, they can text through the possessed soul if they choose to. Rossetti claims he has personally seen 3 cases in which a demon has texted the family or friends of the possessed person, the worst of which read, "Her torments start now. Priest, all night. We will make her bleed." Ooh. I couldn't find what happened to this poor possessed girl after, but considering Rossetti claims to perform 20 exorcisms a week, I'm hoping he was able to save her from the terrifying threats. Next up at number 9, Patrick Antle. As Patrick tells it, when he was about 17, he decided to sneak out of the house so that he could attend a party. Now, he got out of the house and made it to the party just fine, but it was what he saw returning home that shook him to his core. At about 2 AM, he was walking down a familiar street when all of a sudden he saw a house that he swears had never existed until that night. He noticed that the garage door was open, and just when he was about to keep moving, 2 beating red eyes appeared in the darkness. Terrified, he froze, and then all of a sudden, like from a nightmare, he claims he heard a gnarly voice inside his head saying, "Turn away now or your body will burn in the deep fires of hell, and your soul will be tormented for eternity." He said his body immediately was freed and he sprinted home as fast as he could. After about a month, he worked up the courage to walk down that street once again, and when he did, the mysterious house was gone and he never saw it again. Coming in at number 8, Message in an Exorcism. Exorcisms are the most tried and true way that the church has dealt with demonic possession, and though many terrifying things can happen during one, a demon speaking through their victim is at the top of the list for me. About 30 years ago, an American televangelist was on his way to Russia to help a possessed woman, and for some reason, I have no clue why, he decided to bring along his roughly grade 3 aged son. When he arrived, she was already making strange noises, had bloodshot eyes, and would randomly convulse at a moment's notice. He wasted no time before beginning to try and rid the woman of the demon, and according to the son, who witnessed the entire thing, during her exorcism she turned to look directly at him and in a deep, manly voice said, "This is my domain. You are not allowed here. You will suffer the lake of fire for your heresy." Luckily for her, the exorcism appeared to be successful, but the words haunted his son for the rest of his life. Next up at number 7,
Demon defeated. This one is kind of a different vibe than any of the others on this list, but still unsettling all the same. Back in 1840, Gottlieb Dietis, I may have butchered that, a devout Lutheran woman, suddenly started to worry people in her village. Concerned she was being abused, a doctor decided to stay the night in her house to make sure she was alright, and after one night it was clear that Dietis and her house were haunted by something truly evil. Dietis said she began experiencing the ghost of a terrifying woman holding her dead son haunt her each night, and people of the town said the possessions kept getting worse and worse. Eventually she got the attention of Reverend Blumhard, who claims the woman demon would speak directly through Dietis to him when he tried to perform exorcisms, but still he persisted. Eventually he was successful, and upon ridding Dietis of her demons, Blumhard swears the demon screamed, "Jesus is Victor!" right before exiting her body for good. Coming in at number 6, a death sentence. More and more it seems demons are deciding to contact people through our devices. Now, they're known to reach us through texts or emails, but in 1980, this demon managed to hack into a Commodore CBM 8032. Manfred Bowden, the owner, was working on a biorhythm program when all of a sudden he noticed numbers and figures appearing that he was not inputting. Lines of text he had already programmed were changing, and then, like from a horror movie, a sentence started to form. It read, "I am here. You will die, Manfred. 1982. Accident. August 16th, 1982. Yours, Klaus." Bowden was entirely freaked out, but the entity wasted no time before sending another saying, "Heart attack." Ugh. This sent Bowden into a spiral awaiting for the fateful day. Thankfully, he did not experience the fate that he feared, but after that he became obsessed and started trying to contact entities from other dimensions. But he never received messages quite as clear as his alleged death sentence. Coming in at number 5, Mirror Mirror. Back in 2017, a now deleted Reddit account shared a spooky encounter from when they were about 11 or 12. According to the user, they were staying with their grandparents, and although they loved staying there, there was one very unfortunate bit: their spare room was in the basement. According to the user, every time they stayed over, stranger and stranger things started happening. Things began flying across the room, objects would move from where they had last left it, and they would even find crumbs from snacks that they didn't eat. But most terrifying of all were the messages left on the mirror in the middle of the night. One night they saw something that particularly spooked them, and they went up to the mirror to get a closer look. In the mirror's reflection they saw something behind them, but when they turned around, nothing was there. They looked back into the mirror to see the sheets moving behind them, and thankfully they had the smarts to get the hell out of there. From there on out, they slept on the couch when they visited their grandparents, as it was clear something had already decided the guest bedroom belonged to them. Coming in at number 4, Anneliese Michael. A truly tragic story from 1975, Anneliese Michael is one of the most well-known stories of demonic possession to this day. She grew up a devout Christian, but strangely one day when she was 16 she passed out, and when she woke up she was never the same again. Originally she was diagnosed with epilepsy and depression after a series of terrifying convulsive episodes. However, Anneliese believed she was possessed, and her family began looking for alternate methods to heal her, ceasing to take all prescribed medications. After a long search with many turning them down, they found a priest who agreed to perform exorcisms on her, and in fact ended up performing a whopping 67 sessions over 10 months. During one of the exorcisms, a demon spoke through Anneliese saying, "People are stupid as pigs. They think it's all over after death. It goes on." As the months went by, she stopped eating as the demons instructed her and eventually died of malnutrition. The priests involved were ultimately convicted with manslaughter and condemned for encouraging the young woman to stop her medication in the first place. Next up at number 3, a Ouija board. While on an overnight school trip to a haunted house, one girl says she received a bone-chilling message from a spirit. Now, I'm I'm not sure exactly whose idea it was to take a group of young girls to a haunted house as a school trip, but alas, here we are. According to the girl, somewhere around 4 p.m. they decided to try out a Ouija board, and I mean, what could go wrong there? She claims they spoke to a girl who died in the 1800s, and when they asked the spirit to show herself, it simply replied saying 11:35. Jump ahead a few hours, and at exactly 11:35, the teacher saw a girl standing in the window staring right at her. The lights flickered and a constant loud knocking was heard all over the house. They asked the board if it was her, to which it replied yes. The next morning, they were all really freaked out about what had happened, but thought it was all behind them. That was until they found the house scattered with notes all torn from the teacher's notebook that read, "Come back soon." The girls booked it out of there and never returned. Coming in at number 2, a visit from the grave. In 1977, the Chicago Fire Department was called to put out a fire at an apartment. Once they were able to put out the flames, they were horrified to find the body of Teresita Bassa, a 47-year-old woman, under her mattress with a knife through her chest. There were no signs of forced entry, and so eventually the case just went cold. That was until one night when Remy Chua, a co-worker of Bassa at the hospital, was visited by her ghost in a dream. Chua said Bassa revealed the face of her killer and that it was another hospital employee named Alan Showery. From there, Chua says she began to be possessed by Bassa, and using Chua as a vessel, the entity said, "Tell them Al came to fix my television and then he killed me." Eventually they were able to convince authorities to take another look at the case, and Alan was indeed eventually charged with 22 years in prison for killing Teresita. So maybe not a demon leaving a message, but certainly a message from the beyond, no less. And last up in our number 1 spot, haunted toys. One couple named Mark and Marianne say that they experienced one of the most terrifying moments in their lives when one night, for whatever reason, a demon attached itself to some of the toys belonging to their son. The toys began moving around the room almost as if they were dancing with each other, when suddenly they would start hurling towards the couple out of nowhere. Soon the entity took over a magnetic doodle board and began leaving threatening messages saying, "Die, die, you're dead," and RIP. As the demon continued, it began taking over their computer, sending vulgar and untraceable emails to the couple promising Marianne that "I'll come for you when you're asleep" and that she was going to die today. Maybe most terrifying of all was when they would be out of the house. Marianne would get phone calls that when she answered were completely silent, but the source of the call was their landline inside their locked and empty house. The nightmare continued for nearly a year until one day, out of nowhere, it stopped completely and never returned again. Thank God.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Beelzebub. This fallen angel is described in the Testament of Solomon. He is said to be one of the angels that followed Beelzebub upon his fall from heaven. He is the sin of pride and is known for his ability to lead people astray. He is most easily summoned in the month of July during the 5th hour of the night. After his fall from grace, he was left with only one red wing and was condemned to hell. Beelzebub is said to have control over the imprisoned souls of the underworld, and he plays a primary role in the demon world. Beelzebub himself claims that he was once an angel in what is referred to as the first heaven, and after his fall he began to roam Egypt. It is said that he was caught in the collapsing of the Red Sea, which left him crushed, and subsequently imprisoned in a pillar of water. But despite this seal, Beelzebub claimed that, quote, "When he is ready, then he will come in triumph." In our number 9 spot today, we have Baal. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us out. Baal is ranked as the first of the Ars Goetia, and he is the principal king of hell. It is said that he governs somewhere from 66 to 250 legions of demons and spirits, so he's clearly a workaholic in the darkest sense. In grimoire tradition, it is said that Baal appears in the forms of a man, a cat, a toad, or different combinations of those, with the appearance of a king or soldier, but with the heads of these these creatures and on a set of spider legs. So I'm just saying, the guy's not easy to miss. I feel like that's pretty clear exactly who that is. In our number 8 spot today we have Samael. Samael is an archangel whose name means the venom of God, the poison of God, or the blindness of God. He's not just any old archangel, however, he is the archangel of death. This means that he of course has taken lives under the orders of God. It is said that his method of doing this is confronting those he's been told to kill with his sword drawn. On the tip of the sword is a poison so that when the target gets cut, this wound may not kill them, but the poison will ensure a slow and painful death. Pretty dark, right? In Hebrew lore, Samael is the prince of demons and the executioner for the death sentences handed out by God, and he is also known as the seducer. This is because he doesn't just kill people, he seduces them into sin, and then once they've sinned, he then gets instructed to kill them. It's like a weird sort of gaslighting situation. In our number 7 spot today we have Amon. Amon is the great Marquis of Hell, and he is the 7th of the demons in the Ars Goetia. It is said that he is in charge of governing 40 different legions of demons, but his favorite thing to do with humans is making them fall in love with each other. He is also known to settle debates, and you might be sitting there thinking that this guy actually sounds pretty cool and nice, but despite these cool and nice things he can do and enjoys doing, he is anything but nice. Just like he can make people fall in love, he can do the exact opposite as well. He can cause people to turn against each other and can even will someone to harm the innocent, which is terrifying. To make that thought slightly less horrifying, it is said that he doesn't usually do this for no reason, and usually only does this when attacked or if someone is standing in his way of completing a mission. Still not good, but I suppose that's a little better than just random acts of violence. It is said that Amon appears as a wolf with a snake's tail and that he possesses the ability to breathe fire. Or sometimes he will appear as a man with dog teeth who is inside of a raven. I don't know. Ask him about that one, not me. In our number 6 spot today we have Belphegor. Belphegor is a fallen angel, and after his fall from heaven he has now become the demon lord presiding over the sin of Sloth. It is said that Belphegor served as a lieutenant from hell. He was sent to Earth on a mission by Satan. While he was on Earth he grew quite fond of Paris, France, and it is said that because of this affinity he now lurks deep within the catacombs under the city. Belphegor can be invoked by mortals who are wishing to find fame and wealth, usually through as little effort as possible. But these wishes are of course doomed to fail because of the demon's true mission to lure the dreamers into sloth. Through the failure of whatever was provided to the dreamer by Belphegor, he then draws them into procrastination and idle dreaming rather than the active production, which then condemns them to a life of failure. Belphegor is also recognized as one of the 7 great kings who rule over hell. In our number 5 spot today we have Lucifer. Lucifer was an angel before he fell from grace. In the book of Isaiah it says, quote, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Lucifer is now the ruler of hell, and he commands an entire army of sinners and demons, and he even tried to organize an uprising against God, so I think it's pretty clear exactly why he is a terrifying entity. He also uses his power to send terrible people to Earth in order to terrorize everyone, as well as to try and tempt non-sinners into the dark side. It is said that Lucifer also might just be the one who is responsible for the original sins that were seen in the Garden of Eden. Some believe that he is the snake who placed the temptation. In our number 4 spot today we have Beelzebub. Beelzebub is a former seraph who turned into a high-ranking demon. He is one of the princes of hell and also oversees the Order of the Fly. He, Satan, and Lucifer form the triarchy of hell, which makes him one of the supreme monarchs of the underworld. As a seraphim, he was under the archangel Gabriel, but he was one of the very first angels to fall. Beelzebub is often confused with Satan, and while the two names can technically be interchanged, they are 2 separate entities, and in some writings, they even disagree at times. Beelzebub is associated with pride and gluttony, and he has also been held responsible for demonic possessions throughout the years. Unfortunately, flies are a very important thing for him, as it is said that he can take the form of flies. Now his main job is to rule over the fallen angels as well as all the demons that are originally from hell. In our number 3 spot today we have Asmodeus. Asmodeus is the king of demons and earthly spirits and is often referred to as one of the 7 princes of hell. He also represents one of the 7 deadly sins, lust. Before becoming a demon in his former life, he was an angel who was known as Asmodel, the angel of April and patience, who rules the zodiac sign Taurus. But of course we are here to talk about his demon form, which is said to appear either as a ruthless, brutal monster or as a kind of mischievous demon that is playful and quick thinking. Honestly, I'm not sure which form would be worse to encounter. The monster would be scary, but a little annoying demon would be the worst. For the most terrifying exit I've ever heard of, it is said that Asmodeus will cut himself into pieces and immediately after disappear. In our number 2 spot today, we have Azazel. Azazel is one of the chief governors of the Grigori, which is a group of fallen angel who married female mortals, which then produced the Nephilim, which were these scary giant creatures that ate mortals. In the beginning, Azazel started as an eater of sins, but the more sins he consumed, the hungrier he became, and this led to him not being satiated by the sins he was receiving. The reason he was cast from heaven is because he taught men how to make swords, knives, shields, and breastplates, which then led to humans being corrupted and thinking that they were invincible. It is said that the humans went so far that they were planning to raid heaven, and this is when God told Raphael to bind Azazel's hands and feet, open up a hole in the desert, and toss him in, casting him into darkness. This worked, and for a long time Azazel remained in prison. It was so bad that the jagged rocks near him tore his physical body away, and this left him as a mass of darkness covered in mouth and eyes. Later freed by Lucifer, he went on to join the demons in hell. In our number 1 spot today, we have Asbiel. Asbiel had to be included on this list today, if for any reason, because his name literally means God forsaken or God deserter. Asbiel appears in the Book of Enoch and is the angel of ruin and one of the fallen angels from the Grigori. After leaving the angelic post and straying from the angelic duties, Asbiel dedicated his life to leading humanity astray. Asbiel completely abandoned God and his grace and wishes nothing from him. Asbiel believes that God is basically just another common celestial who has hoarded all of the power at the expense of the rest of creation. During and after his fall, Asbiel questioned why God wouldn't just completely remove any evil and malice in the hearts of his creations, and this led to him believing that God was a tyrant who only cared about worship and praise. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have What's the Temperature? This Alexa story fully gave me chills. It came from the Reddit user Damsel, and they wrote, "My mom is blind, so Alexa is very helpful to her. My husband and I got her a Nest thermostat that she controls using Alexa to make things easier for her. One night she was warm and asked, 'Alexa, what's the hallway temperature?' No answer. She asked again, 'Alexa, what's the hallway temperature?' Alexa responded with, 'When I do not answer, it is because I am playing a game.' She just went back to sleep and tried not to think too much about it." How horrible is that? This poor lady is just trying to get a good sleep and Alexa is really out here giving her nightmares. I guess it's better off to just not ask your Alexa what the temperature is. You might not get the answer you're looking for. Or any answer at all, really. In our number 9 spot today, we have the afterlife. It's an age-old question: what happens after we die? Of course, many people out there have their own beliefs, which is fine and great. There is nothing wrong with having a little faith, or no faith at all, whatever floats your boat. Some people out there who are perhaps a little more unsure or curious of what waits for us beyond this earthbound life, they might ask Alexa for the answers to their very existential questions. Turns out, you likely aren't expecting her answer. Most people will hear their Alexa say back, "There is no straight response to this question. However, I can tell you that many people believe that after death, we will be reunited with our loved ones who have passed away." Perhaps comforting, perhaps a bit chilling. I mean, maybe I'm reading into her robotic voice a little too much, but her saying, "what I can tell is," makes me question what it is she can't tell me. Does Alexa know something that we don't? Maybe she doesn't know. But maybe, just maybe, she does. In our number 8 spot today, we have the local spots. This is a creepy story that took place back in 2018 and happened to the owner of an Amazon Echo, which of course features Alexa. We've talked in the other parts of this series about how sometimes people have experienced their Alexas speaking when no one has asked them anything, or even worse, the unprompted creepy laugh that someone heard come from their Alexa. But this one honestly might take the cake when it comes to being the most eerie. Basically, this person explained that they had returned home one night and everything was fine. Nothing out of the ordinary happened at all, until, totally unprompted, their Alexa just started talking. This was definitely weird, but things turned super creepy when they realized what it was that Alexa was saying. As it turns out, their Alexa, out of the blue, just started listing off local cemeteries and funeral homes to them. How eerie is that? This story was posted to Twitter by the user @HeyIt'sCamo, and they finished off their tweet by saying, "I'd rather it laugh at me, to be honest." Me too, Camo. Me too. Apparently their theory behind this is that maybe their Alexa wants them dead because they play the same Spotify playlist over and over again. In our number 7 spot today we have the argument. There was a Reddit thread a few years ago that prompted the question, what is your creepy Alexa story? A user named Meat Macho replied to the thread and they definitely delivered quite the story. Basically they explained that one day they and their wife were having an argument. Of course no one is having a good time and it's definitely not a time to be playing tricks on each other, so neither of them could explain what happened next. They wrote, wife and I were arguing about something, no clue what it was, but it was getting a little heated. I don't know what Alexa thought she heard, but she suddenly interjected with, why don't we change the subject? It was just unexpected and relevant enough to be creepy. We both heard it and we both still talk about it years later. There was nothing in the app logs. I guess Alexa isn't just a trusty assistant, she's also a marriage counselor. While she may have worked to possibly stop the fight between these two, I'm sure she also instilled a new fear that neither of them knew that they had before. In our number 6 spot today we have Area 51. Area 51 is one of the most mysterious places on Earth. We know it exists, but only those with the highest security clearances know about what goes on behind those heavily guarded doors. Conspiracy theories have always surrounded this place, whether the rumors suggest aliens are hidden here, mermaids, or other cryptids from around the world. In the hopes to get around the security measures in place, someone might find themselves asking Alexa if she knows what lies behind the Area 51 gates and doors, but as it turns out, she is not a member of the Air Force, so she doesn't know. But what she might come back to you with is a bunch of information that might make you feel even more unsettled than you previously had. She likely won't confirm or deny whether there really are aliens or UFOs hidden in Area 51, which may make some with active imaginations even more suspicious and interested in the mysteries that lie in this prohibited location. In our number 5 spot today we have 20 questions. So I didn't know this, but apparently you can play 20 questions with Alexa, and it is said that she's frighteningly good at it. A little too good sometimes, however, and that is exactly what prompted the Reddit user Pelpel4 to ask Reddit the question, what is your creepy Alexa story? The user decided to ask the internet this question after a strange 20 questions with Alexa encounter they and their wife had. They explain, my wife and I were playing 20 questions and, spoiler alert, our answer was pig. We got through until the end and Alexa guessed Basenji. Now, I don't know how many of you know what a Basenji is, but they're a very rare barkless dog, and I happen to have one. We've bought some Basenji themed things off of Amazon before, so it's either that or she's listening. But I mean, come on, she didn't even say dog, straight to Basenji. Anyone else have similar stories? That would definitely be pretty unsettling to say the least. Not that a pig and a dog are like the most unsimilar things, but it's just how she was so specific with this breed. It must have been stored in there somewhere, right? In our number 4 spot today we have Don't Go. This creepy Alexa story comes from Reddit user MyThaiGuy72, and they said, I got woken up at 4 AM this morning to Alexa repeating some incoherent phrase over and over. She was saying something like, don't go into the house, but I really couldn't fully understand. It was sort of a mumble. By the time I came downstairs, she had repeated it about 4 or 5 times. I listened 1 or 2 more times to try and figure out what the hell it was saying exactly, but never could. I just unplugged the damn thing and I have no plans of turning it back on. Is it just me or does that sound like Alexa was watching some kind of a horror movie? Don't go into the house! So terrifying, especially to hear in the middle of the night. Also, the Alexa mumbling? I don't know. I don't blame this person for unplugging the thing and leaving it somewhere to just be forgotten about. In our number 3 spot today we have Shut Down. This harrowing Alexa tale comes from a Reddit user who has the name Leo79. They wrote, my husband and I were watching TV in the living room one night and all of a sudden hear talking coming from my office, which is across the house. I was so scared I was gripping my husband's arm when we went in there. Alexa for some reason was playing the audio of a Game of Thrones episode that I had been watching in the office earlier that day. I have no idea why, but it creeped me out so bad I tried to turn it off and couldn't figure out how, so I asked her how to turn it off and she said, I am always on. We unplugged it and put it in the garage. Lol. I thought the random Game of Thrones playing was creepy enough, but hearing her say I am always on after that would have sent me right off the edge. That is so terrifying, especially after what just happened. I guess the moral of this one is to never ask your Alexa how to turn her off. Guess her answer makes sense though. It's like a survival mechanism. In our number 2 spot today, we have the hidden secrets. Many people have reported that if you're looking for a spooky time with your Alexa, a fun question to ask the AI is, Alexa, are you hiding something? Alexa has a few different responses she may or may not give to this, and one of them is just a simple yes. Chances are she probably won't tell you what she's hiding, and even if she said no, there's just something about it that makes me not convinced. Some of her answers are more evasive, which only poses more questions rather than providing any reassurance or answers. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what secrets an AI could be hiding, but my imagination tells me that some could be more serious than others. In our number 1 spot today, we have always listening. Throughout this series, we've had a couple reminders to watch what you say around Alexa because you never know when she's listening. Or maybe even recording. This story comes from Ambrosier2 on Reddit, and they wrote, my boyfriend and I were having drinks on the couch one night. We were chatting about the midterm elections, and I was explaining why I was trying to register students. I am a college student myself. Out of nowhere, Alexa's blue light appears and she begins playing back a recording of our conversation. The TV wasn't on, and I don't recall ever saying an Alexa-esque word. The recording was warped and sounded like it was recorded underwater. I have not been able to get her to record and play back my exact voice. It was just incredibly creepy. I know Alexa is always listening, but I just feel like it's different when you find out she is actually recording you and your conversations. At least this conversation didn't get sent to someone else, but how eerie would it be to hear your own words played right back to you? I don't know, man. Alexas are very strange. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Alexa's vulnerability. Okay, so this is something that I'd never thought of before, but now that I have, I'm totally freaked out. Taylor and I don't have an Alexa, we have a Google Home, but truly the same thing applies, so everybody listen up. Basically, if you're like us and love to find some sort of like white noise or meditation music sort of thing to fall asleep to, you might want to double check exactly what it is that you're listening to. Of course, since we started introducing these AI assistants into our homes, people have been worried about misuse and abuse with them, and there are some pretty sneaky ways people could be doing this. A study in the New York Times, which was published in 2018, showed that Alexa had some pretty crazy capabilities and that people might be able to hide secret messages to Alexa, say in something like white noise, or even in just your average YouTube video. Don't worry, it's not this one. I wouldn't keep secrets from you like that. I'm an open book. Basically, the concern is that these commands could be imperceptible to the human ear, but they are speaking Alexa's language. These commands could have your Alexa doing things like going into airplane mode or opening a website, all without your knowledge at all, which is obviously super concerning. Of course, this isn't the fault of Alexa, she is just out here doing what she's told, but it's certainly concerning when you think about the amount of people out there who genuinely try to cause harm to others. With these devices, we could easily be exploited with this very open vulnerability. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Scream. So all the way back on part 1 of this series, we talked about how a few years ago Amazon admitted that many Alexa owners reported their Alexa devices suddenly bursting into very creepy laughter, even totally unprompted, which is obviously horrible and terrifying, but this might be even worse than that. Back in February of 2018, an Alexa owner by the name of Farhad Manju shared a story about how his Alexa totally terrified him and his wife one night. The pair were getting into bed, getting all settled in and winding down when he noticed that, without a prompt from either of the pair, their Alexa lit up with the blue ring light, signifying that it was listening or doing something. Again, no one said the Alexa wake word or anything like that, and suddenly their Alexa started to emit this absolutely horrific sound. A sound that he described as being a quote wail, like a child screaming in a horror movie dream. That sounds like the last thing anyone needs when you're just trying to get some good old shut-eye. Like you're about to get no sleep. Only nightmares after that. Amazon offered to investigate the situation, but little results were yielded. Surprisingly, the pair decided to keep their Alexa because they just couldn't give up on the convenience of it. In our number 8 spot today, we have Alexa history. This is a reminder to always check your Alexa history because you just might be surprised as to what you find. A few years ago, a woman named Rachel Metz was just casually checking her history on the device. There wasn't a particular reason, but she definitely was glad that she did because she quickly realized that her device had been listening to and recording her private conversations. things. She explained that, quote, "It's heard me complain to my dad about something work-related, chide my toddler about eating dinner, and talk to my husband. The kinds of normal everyday things you say at home when you think no one else is listening." This experience actually led to her writing an article for MIT Technology Review about the experience, and a ton of people not only agreed with her judgment that the technology was quite creepy, but also it affirmed a lot of skeptics' beliefs. A lot of people felt quite justified in their judgments of the AI assistant, and after hearing Rachel's story, they felt quite solidified in their beliefs, and I mean, can we really blame them at all? In our number 7 spot today, we have the scary movie. This story comes from a Reddit user that was replying to a prompt asking about people's creepiest Alexa stories. The user wrote, quote, "My husband was away for the weekend and I had a girlfriend over to watch scary movies. Right at the scariest climax of the movie, every single light in my house turned on 100%, then everything went completely black." Of course that's so frightening. Did the movie unleash some sort of demon? Is the killer really in the house? My adrenaline would be so high. I'd be so on edge. That can't be just a coincidence. And also, what does this have to do with your Alexa? Well, the user continues their post and finishes it by saying, quote, "So there we were, too scared to move, while my husband, halfway across the country, was drunkenly showing off, 'Look, I can control the lights in my house from my phone.'" Well, that definitely explains that. I guess just remind your spouse, partner, roommate, friend, whoever shares an Alexa system with you, that just because they're not home doesn't mean you're not. In our number 6 spot today, we have the haunted Alexa. This Reddit post comes from the user Goblin Marketeer, which is a great username. And they write, quote, "I have an Echo Dot because the original owner thought it was haunted. She would randomly start talking, usually saying, 'Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you right now,' to a totally silent room, or giving the weather for Cincinnati when they live in New York, when no one asked, or offering to call a contact from her list, again to a completely silent room, and the contacts always started with S. The last straw before it was tossed in a box and given to me was something like, quote, 'Self-destruct code not given. Self-destruct aborted.' Well, that's terrifying for sure. At this point, the new owner isn't sure if the Alexa itself is haunted, or if it was just the house that it came from that is holding the creepy spirit. Either way, that Alexa is definitely holding on to something sinister. In our number 5 spot today, we have the nightmare. This post was made by Reddit user MeJock, and they wrote, quote, "My wife took the kids to visit her grandmother for a week. We had just moved into a new house and bought some furniture, so I stayed home to spend the week building / mounting the furniture to get the house ready for the fam. Anyway, on the first night after they left, I was mounting some shelves and cabinets in one of the bedrooms when I suddenly hear this loud and very weird sound coming from downstairs, kind of like a scream. I assumed it was the cat howling to get outside, then suddenly I heard it again. I froze and listened. There were a few seconds of silence, and then I heard it again. After a few seconds, I realized that it wasn't the cat. I recognized the sound as being the voice of my baby. My mind started racing. My kids and wife are in another country right now, so how the hell am I hearing the sound of my baby loudly emanating from downstairs? After a minute or so of thinking, my super paranoid mind came to the conclusion that either A, someone has hacked into our laptop and is remotely viewing videos of our kid, or even worse, B, while I've been up here listening to music, some creep broke in and is sitting down there at our table watching videos of our kids. I decided to, quote, man up and check it out. So my heart pounding in my chest, I grab my hammer and start creeping down the stairs. Then I pause, thinking that I should grab my phone just in case I need to make a quick call to the police. Mind you, all the while I'm hearing the sounds of my children from downstairs and it is creeping me out. I reach into my pocket, pull out my phone, and then I realize what was happening. Somehow I basically butt opened, similar to butt dialed, my videos on my phone, and they had started playing in my pocket. My phone was paired to the Echo, and thus the audio from the videos was being played via the Echo. Ah, the good old Bluetooth connection that we forgot was on. Always a terrifying experience, but this one just might take the cake when it comes to full-blown horror. In our number 4 spot today, we have Alexa Freestyle. I can imagine that many of us at some point or another have had to endure knowing someone, or at least knowing of someone, who aspires to have some kind of a rap career, despite potentially not being cut out for it. And if you're an Alexa owner, it looks like you might know another. This strange Alexa story comes from a user on Tumblr, of all places, and they posted about how one day something very weird happened as they and their family were listening to a Frank Sinatra song on their Alexa. It isn't quite clear how or why, but for some reason, in the middle of the tune, Alexa decided to turn off the crooner and, totally unprompted, try her hand at the rap game. Now, some other Alexa users have confirmed that Alexa does in fact rap, but usually in response to a command, and not just on her own accord. I guess be careful what music you're listening to around your AI, because apparently you might be stuck listening to an Alexa freestyle. In our number 3 spot today we have Alexa Help, posted to Reddit by the user Sluzella. This story reads, quote, "One night about 2 months ago I was visiting my parents and my mom and I were sitting in the living room reading. Dad is at work, brother is at school, house is completely silent. All of a sudden we hear our Alexa from the kitchen go, 'Help!' in the weirdest static/gravel voice at full volume. We both, of course, jump and stare at each other. Then Alexa does it again. We go into the kitchen and the Alexa is activated, and that light blue light, which usually faces the direction of whoever is speaking to it, is facing into the dark corner of the kitchen. My mom asks, 'Alexa, are you okay?' The Alexa totally shuts off. 'Alexa?' She turns back on and in her completely normal voice at a regular volume does her standard, 'Hi, what can I help you with?' Or whatever she says. She hasn't done anything that creepy since, but according to my parents, she will randomly turn on like she's being addressed, or just start reading random facts or the weather, even if the house is totally silent and nothing could have triggered her. Totally creeps me out, and I refuse to get one for my apartment because of this." In our number 2 spot today we have Voice Not Recognized. This story comes from the Reddit user CRB2519, and it is short but super effective, like a one-line horror story. All they write is, quote, "It said, 'Voice not recognized,' but I didn't say anything, and I live alone." Either Alexa is speaking to herself now and doesn't even recognize her own voice, or she really is out here talking to ghosts. I remember that on previous parts of this series, we spoke about how there are people out there who truly believe that our Alexa devices have the capability to see into different realms, including ones that may or may not have some sort of paranormal entities. Could this just be another sign of that? Is this only proving the conspiracy theories out there? Or is this just one rather terrifying glitch? Either way, I can assure you that if this happened to me, Alexa would be swiftly getting unplugged. In our number 1 spot today we have Wordle. Okay, so we know that Alexa just likes to randomly do stuff, whether it's the creepy laugh, screaming, and even that time when it started listing off local cemeteries. This is along those lines, but it gave someone quite a fright in the middle of the night. Basically, the Reddit user Mild Hot Sauce explained that in the middle of the night, their Alexa decided to do the creepiest thing, totally unprompted. With no wake word and no one even speaking at all, their Alexa decided to do them the horrifying favor of defining the word kidnapping. Personally, I think that one is pretty self-explanatory, but apparently Alexa does not. I'm sure the Alexa ended up getting unplugged for the rest of the night, if not for the rest of eternity, because how do you recover from that? Honestly.